Hey guys, it's Monday after school, which means that it's another week of VC study guides, insightful and valuable advice for English tips. And today I'm going to be answering a question from a YouTube subscriber who I had the opportunity of meeting at one of my workshops. Leanne, thank you so much for asking me this question. And I really wanted to do this particular video because it actually is something that I genuinely only went through myself quite recently, and that's the question of how do you stop comparing yourself against students that do incredibly well? And to be honest with you, I only really discovered the answer to this really recently when I started to experience this type of competitiveness myself in my own life. So I'm going to be sharing that with you in today's video. So it's going to be a little bit more casual, basically a chat between you and me. No matter what type of situation it is, whether it's VCE, which is what I tutor, whether it's HSC or what other Australian equivalent course you do, or if you live overseas and you're studying for your SATs or A levels or whatever it is, you are bound to be in this situation where this competitive air arises and you are trapped in this bubble where you feel like you have to compare yourself with others, and you naturally fall into the trap of comparing yourself against others. Unless you are completely awesome and you just don't feel that sense of competitiveness and you're just happy to breeze through as you are, then kudos to you. But this video is for any of you out there who get that sense of angst when you can see other students who are seemingly doing so well in their studies and you just feel like, oh gosh, why can't I be like that? Or what can I do to be like that? Like, why aren't I that person even? Of course, I experienced this when I was in high school, but I never truly found the answer until really recently when I started to feel this in my own life. And I won't go into the complete details of it, but I can say that I was noticing a lot of people who were starting to do a very similar thing to what I do in my life and my career. And this sense of competitiveness just took over me, and I just thought, oh my gosh, there are so many people who are doing the exact same thing as me. And all these questions started popping up. What are they doing? What are they doing better than me? What I realized is that with this type of attitude, you only get yourself more stressed, more anxious, and it's just not a productive use of your time. And I read a really good article that said, when you compare yourself with others, that is a wasted time. Why? Because when you're busy comparing yourself to others, that person who is getting the better marks than you, that person who is seemingly doing better than you at whatever it is, even if this is just for sport or singing competitions or anything else that applies in your life, when you're busy focused on that, they're focused on themselves and they're going to keep rising and rising while you're here watching them just rise and just wondering why and how. Rather than wasting your time being competitive and thinking about what others are doing, be effective with your own time and focus on yourself. The time that you can focus on yourself is the time when you can really improve on your own thing. And knowing this and coming out on the other side, I can tell you that I feel 100 times better than what I was feeling that day when I just went and dug myself into a hole and I was just comparing myself to others, because you shouldn't be comparing yourself to others. You are not that person and they are not you, and that is the strength that you need to garner. The fact that you are you means that you can go about things your own way. Another thing that you should think about when it comes to competitiveness is generally this is because you're antagonizing them. So competitiveness comes from the sense or the mentality that it's you versus them and that's all there is. I would say that rather than antagonizing them, befriend them. So I don't mean that to say like, oh, manipulate them and put them on your side and enemies are better as frenemies, whatever. But when you stop antagonizing somebody and when you stop looking at them as competition, but instead start to look at them as allies, I think that is when you can really leap forward in this whole entire race. And the reason for that is when you compete against someone, you're not sharing your ideas. You're not sharing what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. When you come together, you'd be so surprised at how many different things you can do to help each other out. And then only there will you both be from here going up to here together. Whereas if you're competing against each other, you're both going to stay here and maybe improve a little bit each, okay? But having the combination of your ideas, having the combination of your experiences, your study tactics, that can really benefit you both up here. The phrase that a lot of people know is collaboration, not competition. And I can 100% assure you that you're going to feel better as a result, because you're not just, hating on this person who's seemingly doing better than you, but you're helping each other out. And in the end, you are going to be healthier in your mind and soul. So cliche, I know. The last thing I want you guys to think about is things that you can't change. At the end of the day, there will always be someone who is smarter than you. There will always be someone who is better than you. You can spend forever thinking about them and why it is that they're better than you and why it is that they're smarter than you, or whatever other traits that make you jealous of them or envy them. But you can't change that. You can't change who they are. What you can change is who you are and how you react to the situation. And I watched a YouTuber not too long ago, and she said this: you are 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. This phrase really resonates with me because this means that it starts to put control into your hands. So rather than things that you can't change, you're focusing on things that you can change. Focus on yourself and set your own goals, because when you get your results, you will know then that you worked as hard as you could and that you did everything that you could possibly do. And knowing that you gave it your all, rather than wasting time thinking about others and competing against others and just thinking about what they're doing the whole time, you will feel a lot better as a result. So that's my lowdown on feeling competitive with others and what you can do with it, especially when it's a bad thing for you. Of course, there are other times when competitiveness is a good thing, and potentially I could do a video on that in the future if you guys wanted. But this is really something that I think doesn't just apply to your micro environment of VCE, but this genuinely applies to everyday life. And it's taken me a really long time to understand that. And coming out of it on the other side now, knowing what I know that I feel 100 times better as a result. So the take-home message today is collaboration, not competition. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you guys enjoyed this video, then you know what to do. Please give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and comment below if there's anything you wanted to add to this conversation and anything you'd like me to touch base on. And I wish you all a lovely week. Bye! Let's say that you're holding a bunch of balloons. So you've got about 20 balloons in your hand, and each balloon represents a person in your class, and you're starting at